What's up, everyone? This is the Tin Man with the Resistance.
And I'm Lucid.
I was going to look like a jackass, but we were having some technical difficulties, so...
We didn't get to look like jackasses.
Exactly.
I'm going to turn this camera just a hair there, Tin Man.
Go for it.
Circle. There we go.
Now I'm all catty corner.
That's all good.
Basically, what we're doing here is... This is our Tell Us What You Want segment. You come on to this chat, you tell us what you want.
What you want to hear, what you want to see, what you would like us to do more of on our, weekly reports, TWWRN, I mean, we want to do what you guys want us to do, but we also want you to challenge us. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't want it to be, oh, we want to see more Mr. Giggles. Well, that's not really a challenge. I want facts. I want pinpointed ideas that you guys want us to do. Also, we're going to try to host a question and answers portion of the show, so that way we can, ultimately get your guys' input. We can see, where we stand with you guys. It's not just for questions and answers, it's for comments too. I mean, you want to give us a shout out or, something like that. That's cool too.
You want to tell me not to call Obama the N-word? That'd be cool.
Yeah, we don't use the N-word on TWWRN anymore. I want to say that out loud. We use Obama. We feel it's more offensive.
Yep.
So,
people.
Anyway, we're waiting for our viewers to get on right now.
Yep. Connor, where the hell are you?
You have Connor's number, don't you?
Yeah, he's on. He's trying to get on. He's been having some issues too.
Well, we can't really start this. We can't really start this without viewers, so we need to figure this out.
Well, I'm sending invites out like a motherfucker right now. We can always edit this down in post once it's done. Have a little retard.
Sorry about the delay and the technical difficulties, guys. It's only 8:13 here, but to me, dude, it feels like it's like.
Oh, we got one viewer. Who is on, ladies and gentlemen? How do we open this group chat thing? Q&A.
You can
know this thing. And our viewer is on. This feature is disabled. This chat.
You guys can just type in the chat section whatever you guys would like to see or hear from us in regards to TWWRN and the direction you would like us to take with our our weekly reports.
Yeah, this is for you guys, so help us out here.
We do see one viewer on. Don't know exactly who it is.
Let's just comment in the little chat box.
Yeah, on the left side of your screen, you'll see a little blue box with some white lines in it. If you click that, it'll bring up group chat. And then on the right-hand side, there'll be a little, looks like almost like Facebook Messenger, kind of. You could type there. Or
this thing is worse than fucking tiny chat than the other live stream shit.
Two viewers, welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Or not.
Hey, this feature is disabled. Why is it disabled?
Probably because we're not part of the paying group of morons who pay for this shit.
Fuck that.
Social media should always be free.
Yeah,
I think all the things should be added to, even the free accounts.
Google Effects, YouTube, control run, capture.
I'd like to know who's on. I mean, 3 viewers.
Yeah, we got 3 viewers.
If you guys want to chit chat, go ahead and type in the group chat bar on the right hand side. Send us messages. We're basically here right now. We're doing what's called you know, the live feed for TWWRN, to get your guys' input on what direction you'd like to see TWWRN go with the weekly report, with our resistance transmissions. You know, so if you guys have any questions or comments during this this live stream here, feel free to put them in. What do you want to talk about first?
I don't know. Why don't you kick this off? I'm trying to get things going with this and get it figured the fuck out, because it's
well,
the
main thing that we do on TWWRN, you know, is basically we bring the real news to you guys to the best of our abilities, and we try to tell you real world shit, and you know, we try to dig up as much facts as we can. We try to bring our own conclusions to the show. You know, we basically you know, I do colorful commentation. You know, I try to bring a different point of view to the show, because this guy, most of the guys that work with TWWRN and, you know, any of the, you know, networking sites like what we have there, they're all independents. You know, I'm pretty much right-wing conservative, so you know, I try to bring a different opinion to the table and let people know from a different angle. Tim Mann, he's pretty much the PR guy for TWWRN.
Yep, and here I am trying to do a public relations thing, and I can't get this thing figured out.
Apparently, these people are just watching us. I would have to say at least that much, or at least listening to us, you know, through their speakers. I'm not quite sure if they.
Well, this
they
isn't so much for us to talk; it's for them to talk. Tell us what they want.
No, for sure, but I mean, they're here to listen at least, and you know, see what other people's opinions and views are. They at least can hear us, you know, go over our debate here.
This feature is disabled. How do I enable it?
You pay for it, asswipe. I told you that earlier. Just go back to the group chat so we don't miss anything. You can't enable it. We're basically just waiting for Connor to get on. Did you send him the link?
Yes, Connor has it.
Okay, cool.
I will go to Facebook.
I know that Connor has a webcam, so he'll probably be on camera with us, you guys. Also send that stuff to the Haunted as well.
Yeah,
I'd like to get him on here if possible.
Yeah, he's got a lot of interesting views. I like what he has to say.
I haven't been able to stay up as late as you guys usually get on the videos for that, the video chat for that in Skype. What do you guys talk about?
We talk about all kinds of things. Like when the Haunted was on, he had some very interesting points about what he would do in the event of martial law and all that shit. It was really interesting. For those of you who are interested, feel free to go back through our videos and watch that. We had him on a while ago.
I was not here for that, was I?
No, you were not. But I'm going to get this thing working. I will be damned if this thing is going to.
Why don't we do this? Why don't you just give Connor a call? You have his number, right?
I cannot call him.
Why not?
Because my phone doesn't call out of the call me.
Well, why hasn't he called you?
Because my phone is on.
What kind of phone does he have? Do you know?
I believe he has a landline.
Oh, so. Well, I basically went over where our direction has been going. What do you think about the direction we're taking here, Tin Man? I mean, do you think it's a positive direction? You think? I mean, our views are up. I mean, we went
our
from
views
getting
are up, but our subscriptions are down, and a few people have been getting pissed off, you know, given some of the content. And I can understand to a point. They have this frustration, you know, they're not necessarily getting what they want. But here's the thing. I know, and somebody called me. I don't necessarily know what the people want. You know, I'm not in their heads. You know, what person A likes may not be what person B or C likes. You know, or B and C may like something that A entirely and just completely hates.
But you got to take into consideration too, folks, is that, you know, we do news broadcasting, you know, a little vlog for through YouTube, and we post all these things on our social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, all this stuff. And basically what our goal is just to share the truth as much as we possibly can with you guys about what's going on in the world. You know, the police brutality thing, the kidnappings of these kids by CPS. You know, I mean, we went over that not too long ago. You know, we did that radio show with Hart Fisher too, and I kind of want to give a shout out to that. That was really cool, man. I really like that. For those of you who don't know, Hart Fisher does a thing called American Horror Comics, and he actually does his own live broadcasting down in LA. Where's Hollywood?
Hello.
He's in LA.
Okay, in LA, and he, you know, he brought some interesting points to us about you know, the landlord laws and, you know, stuff like that. That, you know, that we didn't really understand at the time. I guess he's going through some shit too. And what the hell? Me the what? Huh.
I'm not sure who this person is, but welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi.
We're basically going over stuff that we what direction we want to take our vlog in YouTube. It's called the Worldwide Resistance Network, and the show is called The Weekly Report.
Well, not just the weekly report, but all of our content.
Well, yeah,
as well.
resistance transmissions, you know, anon logs and stuff like that too. There's Connor.
Connor, welcome, you son of a bitch.
Man.
Holy son of a bitch at work.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties but like 15 minutes ago, dude, where for some reason it froze up on us and we had to restart the entire thing.
It's all your fault, Lucid.
It's all your fault.
I know.
Shouldn't have
It's
been
your
talking
fault.
about Obama like that.
Yeah, but use the N-word anymore. We find it more offensive.
Well, yeah, man.
What the hell?
I did that. That was my fault.
You're broken. You broke the internet.
He's always breaking shit.
Oh.
He is a malfunction magnet.
Awesome. So, is this all we're gonna get in? Has anybody?
Oh, there's more. There's 3 people on right now.
Yeah, I saw 7 earlier there, but they probably had the same problem as me. ...
I'm not sure who this is.
Hi. I'm Me the People.
Hello.
I'm not even sure how I got this invite either, but after watching, I was hooked, so here I am.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. We are glad to have you. From a viewer's perspective now, what would you look for from an activist vlog?
Ooh,
Solution.
great question.
Solutions.
That's exactly what we try to provide. We try to give the truth out to the people that we, like I said before, we try to give the truth out, and not this, you know, mainstream media bullshit that we've been dealing with in the past, you know, 20, 30 years now. You know, we try to look for the fact behind everything else. We actually go online and we go out into our community and we do actual research. So that way, you know, when we deliver a certain news broadcast, we can, you know, deliver it truthfully and not hide any of the stuff that most of the mainstream media hides from you guys.
Of course. Of course.
What groups are you affiliated with?
Myself.
Hey, that's
are
the
you
best
on-
group to
That's
be
where we
with.
start.
I have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel myself, so you guys must run in some circles that I'm affiliated with, but I'm a loner.
Yeah.
Well,
We send it out to everybody. Pedophile Hunter, Anonymous. We
Yeah.
send it to
I
everybody.
hit like 15 groups before I came to the room. I always take the first 10 minutes to spam the chat room, because we used to do this, like when all this started, it was all about live chat and what do people want and how would we move forward, and next thing you know, we got websites and YouTube channels and Twitters and Facebook, so am I.
Yeah.
So we're talking about solutions. I liked where you went with that, and that's actually part of one of the announcements I was going to do tonight. I'm actually strongly considering doing everything that we do with TWWRN behind my legitimate name. It's a long talk that I had with one of my guys, and they were like, let's not grant the establishment any more power that it already has, but let's try to approach it with a particular level of understanding that if we at least understand the power that it has, we might be able to get on the same playing field. So we have always bounced the idea around making TWWRN, be it a nonprofit organization or a religion or a corporation. Any one of these three would really fit the bill. It's just that all three have their own fair share of shit attached to it. And we don't like attaching that garbage to what we're doing. So it kind of stayed stagnant.
That's why I went with the name Me the People.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. That's kind of why I chose John
It
Connor.
sort of invokes, the Constitution, our free speech, and all that. So, yeah, Me the People, independent.
Nice. And also, it's called the Worldwide Resistance Network because we're international, because I got my American cousins there in front of a green screen, but I'm about as Canadian as it gets. So
I wish we could utilize the green screen effect on this bitch. I really wish we could, because I could do so much fun shit with this.
Well, you might have to do that in post-production.
Yeah, we could have our Hillary Clinton meme talking in the background, talking about how she needs her martini bucket because she has to take a crap.
Well, that's always a good time. So what I was actually getting ready to do was to push forward all of this, because I moved across, damn near across the country. I lived all the way on the East Coast, and I'm not there anymore. I moved western now. I'm not on the West Coast, but I'm more central than anything. But I'm in the province. I'm in the province where the nation's capital sits, and I kind of want to use that to my advantage. I can do paperwork. I can do things like that. A lot of things in the country are better recognized when it comes out of where I am. And to really kind of push the agenda forward, like the agenda. What's up, buddy? It's always nice to see you. What I'm trying to get at here is to push the agenda forward, and the unfortunate thing is that even with the non-collective and even with ourselves, like we're no better than the rest at that point, there was a power that Dr. King had, and Malcolm X had, and JFK had, and John Lennon had, and without exaggerating the fact, it's quite literally their first and last names. I know it sounds stupid, but it was the ability to do what they do behind their own name.
True.
So the solution, I don't know, and I'm really reaching out to you right now, just because I always talk to these boys, and they like talking to me, but we can always schedule time after this for that. But I kind of got your attention here, so I want to grab it. As far as solutions,
I'll put yourself more on camera. You are like half on camera.
There we go. See,
there's that sexy beast.
There's a sexy man.
And Chad, if you want to chime in at any time, Chad.
Oh, you just interrupt me.
No,
sorry,
I didn't want to interrupt.
Anybody who wants to chime in, who's joined this, go ahead and join our group chat, and you can either voice your opinion directly, or you can type it into the group chat bullshit, if that fucking works.
I don't know if anything's working right now.
Go ahead, Connor. What were you saying?
So like what we're talking about is solutions here. And by the way, Lucid, quick shout out. I really liked the last video you made, because unfortunately you had the shit end of the stick as the job. Your job was literally to sit beside Tidman and tell him he was wrong. That's a hard job to do.
Right.
And you kind of, it's not like you came around with the police brutality side of things. It's just like all of a sudden it was like, there it is. That's what he was talking about. And then boom, it all kind of hit you. That must have hurt, man. That's a kick in the nuts like nothing else. And then you kind of came at it with a very intelligent approach, and I liked that. And that's what we're here to do, is to find these things and solutions. Sorry, I rant. I go, and I'm foolish. Solutions.
And to be able to organize,
Yes, and that's what I was getting. That's what I was getting at. The real name, using our real name, gives us one power. All these things that they did to us to try and cripple us, the whole spelling our names in capital letters and making us individual corporations and things like that, so that we could have the straw man in a courtroom, so on and so forth. I'm sure you're familiar with this.
Yeah.
What if we use this as our tool? Like a cop points a gun at you. If you had an opportunity to tackle him and take the gun, you'd be taking his weapon. So if they're using this as a form of enslavement, is there a way that we could use it as a weapon against them?
Exactly.
So what I'm thinking is, And everybody's like, well, why don't you form a political party? And bear with me with what I'm about to say next, because it can be misconstrued, and I'm not going into any racist connotation directions. But what we're looking at, exactly, what we're looking at is it's a better model than what Hitler had with National Socialism.
Oh,
Now,
you're going.
yeah, I went there. I'm sorry.
We lost 500 subscribers right there. Actually, all of our subscribers are gone. They have left us.
They have now abandoned the idea.
We are like in the negatives, those subscribers.
I'm not scared.
Okay, so what we look at with Hitler, and what he did, he had a socialist government within his country, and then you could look at the rest of the world, and there were other countries that maintained a socialist government. And then what had happened was that these nations who were socialist began to work together. So national socialism. So instead of a state working with a state and then becoming a country, we're looking at a country working with a shit that we're really just not used to seeing. True countries working together. And I'm not bringing back National Socialism. I'm merely using the skeletal structure of that institution to say that TWWRN must be recognized in Canada, must be recognized in the United States, must be recognized in Europe, must be recognized all of these other places. This is why a political party doesn't work, because hey, I could be the prime minister of the country, man. I could drive my country to the greatest successes of the world. That doesn't mean Tin Man wins anything.
So basically what you're trying to say, Connor, is that you want to make it an anon thing, but without the anon.
Without the anon, an international collective. And I'm talking like take the Red Cross and Amnesty International and create a bastardized child of that, and that would be us. So much that it would be us, it would be recognized by the United Nations. Let's think just this much bigger than those guys think. They think about monopolizing and controlling one particular country. So why don't we just go straight to the UN? So that would mean I would have to do up paperwork that would recognize TWWRN as a organization, or we could quite literally, and I'm not even joking, we could scrap TWWRN and say all the best ideas came out of this. Now we're going to build this. A more user-friendly name, user-friendly logos, easy to see, easy to find. You know, Amnesty International, really easy stuff to look at. Think of Kony 2012 campaign. Just make it a hell of a lot more serious and impacting, but reach the same amount of people that guy did. Then get them recognized by the UN. And this is where the whole quote-unquote religious aspect comes from, because the religious nature means that if I preach anonymous stuff, if I preach TWWRN stuff, it is recognized as quote-unquote a religion. Therefore, you cannot A, infringe on the freedom of speech, and then B, infringe on the freedom of religion, protected on both sides by the Constitution. Because look at what the Westboro Baptist Church put together under the name and guise of a quote-unquote religion. So imagine all of these things actually working properly without, it's kind of like Immoral Technique said it best, imagine a religion without all the groupies.
Right.
You know, like just, you know, this person that would take the stage, because I can't do it. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm not, because if we were to be recognized by the UN, the person that would be at that place has to have a clean record. Right there, I'm out. Has to be religiously inclined, not a religious person, but a person that can, yes, a person that can appreciate the beliefs of other people without bias. Economically sound. They have to be able to understand what the economy is doing to the people, how the economy is being used as a weapon against the people. Half the world doesn't know that the economy is used as a weapon, so how could they ever defend themselves against something like that? So what is our job? Our job, unfortunately, is very much like the Mormon Church, to take the money from the people and then flip it around onto the system. Right. It's very interesting stuff, but it's hard to do, hard to be recognized. I think 2015, I'm really going to put my nose to the grindstone, because I was always like, oh, I'm going to register the website, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but there was never really enough flow that was coming through. And I was like, but what happens, you know, like if we actually register this and become like pastors or spokespersons or representatives, or I don't care. Call it what you, man. If there is a flying spaghetti monster out there with a following of people that are protected, so much so that their driver's license picture is now they're allowed to wear colanders, we can make this shit work. We're just not hitting the right buttons. That's all.
Well,
I'm gonna give the floor to you now.
take for instance what has recently happening in Washington D.C. with the legalization of marijuana. Now they pay taxes there, right? But they don't have representation. So what they did was they legalized it there, but they made it legal with gifting, not sales. Okay.
Right.
So the Congress, in their multi-trillion-dollar budget, wrote in there that Washington D.C. would not be appropriated any funds, and all this. So the way that they're going around it is saying it's legal to grow, it's legal to smoke, legal to possess, but you can't sell it. That takes the cops right out of it, if you ask me. There's no money changing hands, and they're pissed.
Because they removed the committal of a crime. It's impossible to commit a crime anymore.
So they're not coming up on it either.
Oh yeah, no, they don't like it because, well, unfortunately, in the United States, 90% of the drug budget is used to fight the war on pot. So that means at least 10% of the drug budget for the harder substances. So what do you do with 90% of a budget and nothing to do?
And all the things that they confiscate, the money and all that, those are all kickbacks and kudos for law enforcement. So
different kind of mob.
I was just going to say, I was a police explorer for about 8 years, and I was also in the military. And a lot of the stuff that the police officers and the military personnel would confiscate that were quote unquote illegal ended up being the police officers and the soldiers, party pack.
Yeah,
I mean, they would confiscate from underage people. They would confiscate marijuana, and then after work they'd all go smoke a weed and get drunk.
Yeah, exactly. So they're losing out on a lot of income, and I can't help but think that that's kind of what's going on with New York right now, and the whole turning their backs on de Blasio and all this crazy crap. It has to do with money and politics, and I'm only bringing this up because of what you just said. It sort of reminds me of taking, the things that they use against us back on them.
Yeah.
I think the unfortunate thing is that a rationally minded individual can't say that all this happened because 2 cops got killed. Because as insensitive as it sounds, cops die every day. It just happens. It's kind of part of the job. Where I used to live, that's where all of this didn't start. There, cops were shot long before that happened. But the funny thing is where I was living, 3 cops got gunned down. 5 got gunned down. 3 lost their lives over it. Next thing you know, every day I open the internet and someone's getting gunned down in some other part of the world. So they die every day. That can't be the reason for the turning their back. Because honestly,
it's politics.
Because the New York citizen should just be like, wait a minute, you're not arresting people because you're afraid. Okay, over there, just return your badge and your gun. If you can't do the job, that's okay. We're not going to discriminate against you. Can't do the job. If you're
afraid, not needed.
They're not needed, and that's the thing. They're going to lose their pensions if they can't quit. They have to be laid off.
Yep. So that's basically what it's about.
I saw a meme not too long ago. The New York Police Department has more sheriffs and police at their disposal than the FBI has in total, and they're talking about
LAPD.
Yeah, they're talking about disbanding 50% of their police force because the victimization of crime and stuff like that has been so much of their police work that they're not really doing police work at that time. They're doing what the lawyers should be doing, and pressing charges against these people who, bring up fraud and, take out, payday loans and don't pay them back and stuff like that. So instead of the police taking care of that business, it should be the lawyers and, the councilmen and stuff like that, pressing charges on these people. And therefore, enacting the 50% dump of the police force, which is completely unnecessary. I mean, if you think about it, a force that has more, officers on it than
I'm just closing this.
the
I can still
FBI
hear
has,
you. I'm just crossing the room. Sorry.
Just think of what all they were getting with stopping and frisking people. Information, dope, blackmailing them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All the stuff
Just
that they
letting
were
other people
able
talk.
to get with stopping and frisking. Now they can no longer do that.
right.
Well,
And
they
another
took
thing
the Gestapo power away.
for everybody watching, or everybody listening rather, they have 2 questions that you need to ask. Hey, have I committed a crime? Well, we're under investigation of that. Okay, well, am I free to go? And then at that point too, if they have no reason to stop you, then they have no reason to detain you. So you're free to go at that point, and that will also help eliminate a lot of police BS that's been happening with unlawful stops of cars, search and seizure, all these, amendment rights that have been infringed upon.
Well, exactly.
RTT, what is that, Chad?
Resist Tyranny just joined us.
Resist Tyranny.
Oh, okay.
That's a name I remember.
This
What's happening,
Well,
guys?
welcome.
welcome. What we're discussing here tonight, we kind of got off point. We're discussing how to make the world a better place. But our main topic here is how to improve TWWRN with the vlogs and the videos that we do. From a subscriber standpoint and also an activist standpoint, what would be your input in how to better reach the people and give them what they want? What would you, from your perspective, what would the people want?
It's snowy outside.
What do the people want?
Yeah.
Aside from the obvious.
People don't know what they want. They'll just do what we say.
The internet's the most powerful thing we can use right now, and if you can cover as much area on the internet as possible, and that, I think that's what we're all doing, but cover as much area on the internet as possible, and it will get the word out more than I think any of us could ever imagine. And
we're on almost every social media website that we can be on, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, we would even be on MySpace if it was still up and running,
Oh, it's still up and running. It just ain't worth shit.
So, we cover as much social media ground as we possibly can.
I just invaded TUS.
What's
I think
that?
$500 worth of advertising on Facebook would be awesome.
You think that would work? You want to make that investment?
I'm thinking about it.
We ain't making dick with the channel. I've got things monetized and we've got like $18 sitting in it right now.
How you doing, Haunted?
Fellas,
What up, what up, what up?
it's always nice to see you.
Yeah.
I'm outside and it's cold in Canada having a cigarette. I don't know why I'm subjecting myself to this.
It's cold as fucking Arizona right now, too.
That's what I hear, man. You guys got some snow down there. They're in California.
Hell yeah, dude. This shit got fucking crazy over here.
Just to put you up on game real quick, Haunted, we just wanted to let you guys know real quick. Every time somebody's joining the video chat, we have to kind of recap just to let you guys know what we're talking about. We're trying to see.
So we're gonna nuke Israel.
We're thinking about we're talking about what we could do as activists, political standpoints and stuff that we could change with TWWRN to make it more effective to better our information delivery and get the message out there easier for people to understand, and what would be like a more friendly avenue we could take as opposed to the Resist Network,
Or even just not pissing people off, because we seem to have that tendency, especially me, calling Obama the N-word. I know that pissed a lot of people off.
You are gonna.
I have that people don't necessarily.
You will eventually get shot.
Oh yeah, it's so happening.
I know I'm gonna die. I know I'm gonna die. Have you seen that fucking meme on my Facebook? I'm going to die in 2020 in the Third World War.
Is the goal to reach more people, build a better brand, or change the world?
All
I
three.
think all three.
Take
That's
a
the mission.
on everything.
Okay.
Yeah, in order to change the world, you got to reach people, you got to wake them up, and you can't do that if you're pissing people off. If all you're
You
doing
have
is
to
pissing
unify
people off,
them.
because you have,
Exactly.
they're not going to listen to you, and you're not going to get any.
Right.
Fine. If what you're doing's not working, do something different. But the platforms and the when I joined the conversation, you were talking about even forming groups and going to the UN with this kind of stuff. That's where I came into this. So I'm just catching up.
Yeah, that's the more serious side of things. We like to joke around in the midst, but that's kind of the more serious side of what we're talking about.
Okay.
The next real approach.
Instead of civil rights, it should be human rights issues.
Okay.
Point proven.
Understand that. I don't know that going to the machine and complaining about the machine to the machine is going to change the machine ever.
But can we hack the machine and use it for our own good?
Why not just stop supporting the machine, stop holding it up, let the pyramid deal fall, and we can just go do something else.
Turn our backs on the machine.
Yep. And we've got the ability to reach the masses now with an idea that simple. What's easier to do than nothing? Let me think. Okay, so we have the ability to go directly to the people. We don't have to beg any masters, even Google or the UN or anybody else to give us a stamp of approval and tell us that we could work collectively together to encourage people to no longer support the hand that's holding their head underwater.
So once we pull their head above
That's
water,
a very valid point there, brother.
what are we going to give them? We've saved their lives. We've given them CPR. What are we going to feed them for lunch?
Okay, first of all, a lot of people are already dead. They don't know they're dead, but they are. And they're the same people who are still watching the mainstream media, the same people who watched Noah Posner die in Sandy Hook in 2012, and then again in Pakistan in 2014. It doesn't matter what you tell these people because they're already dead, that they can't think anymore. They're literally in a vegetative state. So forget them.
I agree.
Only try to save the living. The boat's going down, period. This is the Titanic. It's going down. Forget rearranging the deck furniture, painting the boat, or anything like that. It's going down. Forget the people who can't be saved either. They can't swim. You cannot drag them all to shore, guaranteed. But we can reach out to those who realize something's wrong and want a solution. Want something that they themselves can do about it, because what's the point of knowing if we can't do anything about it, you know?
So the steps we're looking at now is, let's say we go into the direction, and then it's a eugenics direction, but it's not a horrible direction to think, given how far it's gone. By not saving those who can't be saved, that I understand that. Once we have those that are, for lack of a better example, I have 1, 2, no, you don't count yourself, Connor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 screens open of people here. What can we do to make sure that when you guys do something, that you're protected? That's the whole UN basis, is that unfortunately there's people that are arrested for a DDoS. Like, I'm not big on promoting or denying Lizard Squad, but at the end of the day, all they did was a DDoS, and they got they got paid off to stop whatever. That was already the first mistake, and then some people got arrested and are probably going to go to jail for this. How could we make it so that action would be impossible? That if you took a sign of protest in your own city or your own state or whatever, and then the cuffs hit your hands, I love to say for the American people that the Constitution is there for you to turn to.
Have bail money ready.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem with that too, Connor, is that the constitutional thing to do is unconstitutional nowadays. You can't voice your opinion. You can't, you don't have the right to bear arms. We no longer have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're stuck in this clusterfuck of not being able to do what we need to do to, be a diplomatic type of people anymore.
At Rob Job, welcome. Wait, is that yours?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who else would have the name Rob Job?
There's less than 10 people here. We're already confused, and we're thinking about going to the UN.
Who's who? Is this the charity? You look like you got something to say, my friend. By the way,
Palestinians can't even get anything done at the United Nations. What makes us think that we're going to be able to?
Well, exactly. That you know what's funny though? It's funny though because there is a separate avenue. You know how these people like to stack bills on top of bills on top of bills and omnibus bills, and next thing you know, nobody reads them and everybody signs them.
Right.
Well, I know because my profession is I work with exotic animals. Now, the province that I was just in did not allow falconry, the act of flying birds of prey to scare off other birds away from crops and things like that. Now, the only reason why I'm bringing that up and any of this has any kind of meaning is that falconry is recognized by the UN. Right? It's so how do we? And I'm not even gonna lie about it. Whatever happens here in regards of the UN will be a very fly-by-night sly move. The UN will approve it not knowing what it's approving. That's how it has to be sold to them. Because if they know what they're approving, we fall under the whole the Palestinians can't even get recognized.
True.
You don't have to be recognized to ignore the UN.
We're ignoring them now.
Well, my country is a recognized nation and we're ignoring it.
In a million lifetimes, it would never occur to me to ask them permission to do anything in my life. That's not who governs me or rules me. In fact, I make my own decisions. And as far as protecting myself from those who plan to do me harm, again, you're not going to ask the machine for that. The machine's the one coming after you. So
it's your neighbor, your brother, your sister, that will protect us.
Well, that too. That too. Ourselves together is all we've got. I mean, that's really it.
Well, there's a history of gangsterism that we could tap into that might help us. You guys have heard of the Crips and the Bloods, right?
Right.
They're both factions of what's called the Black Panther. The Black Panthers.
The Black Panther Party.
Thank you, Black Panther Party for Self-Defense.
Actually trying to make a comeback as we speak.
Yes. Now, so they branched off, and a lot of people never really caught the play. Now, I could be wrong here, so don't take this as gospel. But we had Dr. King, which was nonviolent, and then we had Malcolm X, which was but by any means necessary. So, and if you look at the Crips and the Bloods split off, you see you have the Bloods, which I'm assuming went after blood, and you had the Crips. And I never knew why they called themselves Crips until one day the internet said, hey, did you know that Crips, C-R-I-P, stands for Community Resistance in Progress.
Yes, and they've been demonized and marginalized and forced to, a life of crime in prison. Well, the same thing happened to the Black Panther Party, you guys are aware.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing is happening to Anonymous. So
what happens when the KKK and the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense cross the line and shake hands?
That's exactly when the Crips and Bloods start to get together, when the Norteñas and the Serranos, when all these, when you stop being colors and start being humans, then we'll get to somewhere.
Oh yeah, I always said, what happens when the 99% asks for the 1%'s help?
Well, for instance, you guys, when all the protests, we see, Anonymous there, and I think I remember a couple where there wasn't a whole lot of people showing up, and I thought to myself, wow, if they could get together with do a protest with the black community, the brown community, the poor community. Hey, call Al Sharpton. He'll have busloads of people there.
Use the resources at hand.
Yes, usually.
I love this chick. She's awesome.
If you think about it, they're the same. We have the same goals, we have the same problems with society, and shoot, I just thought, God, there has to be a bridge. And it happened with Ferguson, and man, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
That was the eye-opener for a lot of people right there.
When the robes, I thought only the Pope could defrock someone, but it looks like that is wrong. Yeah.
Love it. This chick is great. Please subscribe.
I don't know how you guys.
Thoughts.
I don't know who invited me either. I will go back and check my feeds, but I'm happy to be here.
See, because we're criticized a lot.
Shit I'm involved in.
We're criticized a lot. Like, you'll notice when you do actually hit our YouTube channel and you pay attention to some of the stuff, you'll notice me. My first video, I'm sitting in a tank top. I'm yelling at the camera like my opinion matters. It's great. Like, it was a moment to die for me. But, and then it moves forward, and then I make my own fair share of mistakes because as I was learning things, it got stupid. It was great. The first year was awesome. But what I'm getting at here is that we are criticized over and over and over again because we have chosen two things. One, not to censor, and two, not close the door on any topic. Now, some people have called us, tinfoil hat wearing guys, and every now and again I got to check, make sure mine's not on too tight. But like, we will entertain conspiracy.
I'll stick with my pirate hat.
Nice. We'll entertain conspiracy. We'll entertain, and when I say conspiracy, I'll go as high up as UFOs, and I'll go as low as the financial conspiracies and the 1% and the monetary system. Then we get into political, and then we get into religious. And the religious one has been the one that has really caused us a lot of grief because within the religious conspiracy, that is where you'll find Zionism. A lot of people find it for the first time there.
Yes.
And it can get really out of hand. So there's a lot of negative that's been coming our direction, and we're not fully sure how to turn that around.
I want one.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I had to, Connor.
Yeah, that's a small.
I just lost my shit. Game over.
4chan moment.
Well, definitely a 4chan moment. Okay.
And what we've done is and people hate us for it. I'm not even going to lie about it. People hate us for it. We've laughed at some of the stuff you're just not supposed to laugh at.
Right.
You have to.
Yeah, well, it's a laugh or cry situation, right? And you can't do nothing when you're crying. So.
Well, God, and the Illuminati, I think that term is getting too much play. I'm starting to really hate the Illuminati. Everything is the Illuminati.
It's become a marketing scheme.
God.
I've explained to people time and time again, when we touch the Illuminati, and it can be touched on a very serious level as well, like as foolish as it's become.
Why would you want to touch those pedophile motherfuckers?
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I want to touch them in their special places, dude. But what I'm getting at is the true
Okay,
Illuminati.
I will be locking my door tonight.
the true Illuminati is the people that were unfortunately exactly like us, free-thinking individuals that would not go to the status quo. And at the time of their inception, the status quo and the people of governance and things like that, it was organized religion, Catholic Church to be a little bit more precise. We're talking like people like Isaac Newton and some of the greatest luminaries and visionaries of our generation and our existence. And then people, what they did is they used the secret society construct known as the Illuminati, applied it to business, and next thing you know, everybody thinks Jay-Z is part of the Illuminati.
Right. And all he's doing is acknowledging maybe, his heritage.
An existence, exactly.
I don't know, but...
And a heritage, I wouldn't even know, like, but
right. Well, now we can know with DNA, but you're right about that.
Yeah, like we don't know what they're doing or what they're saying, but the true Illuminati, if it did exist to this day, they're just sitting back and laughing at what's happening. It's very much like what happens when we spoke about Bloods and Crips earlier. What I see happening with this Illuminati word is the Bloods are wearing the Crips colors. Someone has jacked the name and has turned it into something that it's not to feed it to the sheeple. So when you talk about Illuminati and you talk about, forms of control and all of this, well, people won't even let you get to forms of control. You say Illuminati, they think Jay-Z. So then you've already lost them. They're like, no, the Illuminati is the rap industry. And they're like, oh, God, my brain, I just lost IQ points. Like, my brain hurts now.
And I know Haunted is loving this shit. And it's all theatricality and deception. And let's not beat around the bush. TWWRN is really big on theatricality.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So the question is, going back to what you said, avoiding becoming like what happened with the Black Panther Party and what's happening with Anonymous. How do we avoid becoming that? How do we avoid pissing people off and making enemies rather than allies? Especially being the Worldwide Resistance Network, our goal is activist unification. How are we to unify with the activist communities out there and bring everybody together without pissing everybody off?
Giving back to the community, you guys. That's basically what you did with you know, the KKK and all that. That was really giving back to the community. And if things like that, you know, will help people see things in a different light, you know. Just give back to the community, get on their good side, you know. Let them know that you are fighting for them. We are the resistance, you know.
So basically, not talking and demonstrating action.
Yeah.
So, and we are active in the communities in which we serve. We're all over the fucking place. We've done so much fucking shit.
We do everything from
Richard Wright, for example. I mean, we've done a lot.
Well, even us personally, we do everything from you know, colorful commentation on TWWRN to, you know, music to music videos. We do, you know, we do an array of different things to reach the people too. It's not just us, you know, sitting on camera talking all the time either. I mean, we've got side projects that we do, and you know,
we're just as active off camera as we are on.
Yeah, and we try to be as active as we possibly can, you know, within the limits of, you know, our significant others and our children and stuff like that. So,
right.
Bill's got to get paid, unfortunately.
Should we maybe not necessarily gloat about the things we've done, but you know what, put it out there more, discuss it more, put more of our operations in videos?
Perhaps not gloat about it, but definitely have I should work on that on the website side. Definitely have a page that demonstrates our achievements. I don't think demonstrating achievements is gloating, but we shouldn't talk about it in every video that we present, because then it'll just look like we're blowing our own horns up our asses. So
right, the good news, you know, the stuff that you guys have done.
Well, that Richard Wright op, I never really updated you again, but he got released from the psych ward a week and a half after all that happened. The nurses were tired of receiving pizza. Like, people got on board, and it was crazy. Well, the guy gave away free money, and they locked him in a psych ward. Like, that didn't sit well with me. Like, I don't know if you guys know the story of Richard Wright, but it was a guy in PEI, Canada. He lived in PEI. He was visiting Nova Scotia. He had $3,500 of his own money that he had saved up, hard-earned, yada, 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 life goes on. Walked around town and gave people that he saw that he thought might have needed a helping hand. He gave them 2 Canadian $50 bills and then gave them 2 $5 silver coins. And he explained to the people that the $5 silver coin was actually worth more than the $50 bill, but the world didn't see it that way. And when they looked at him and said, well, why are you doing this? And some of them tried to thank him. Well, he would take a step back and he'd point to this guy and say, just thank the God that you believe in, and would walk away from them. So he did that about 30 times, whatever $3,500 allow you to do, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He went back to PEI, which is his place of residence. The RCMP was called about him. They ran his name and ran everything through. They picked him up at his residence. He started going off. He went John Connor like nobody, man. He started going off about the world elite and the corrupt system, and then the padded room wasn't too far behind. Yeah. So, and I
should have done it anonymously.
Well, that's the thing. Like he should have, you know. And that's, I guess, there it is, right there. That's the basis of what I'm trying to talk about here is how could I have done paperwork where I am that would have protected Richard's right? I know it's important to stay anonymous, but when we've come into a society in which we actually have to hide our face, that's already too far. Hiding your face by choice because of your job and whatever, I can get it if it's done by choice. But when we look at someone giving away money to the homeless or to the whoever's on the side of the road, and he gets thrown into a psych ward, and we say, well, he should have worn a mask. It's like, wait a minute, wow, that just happened. Like he just lost all of his human rights.
You know, RTT also made a good point just now. He's not on. He didn't say it on mic. He said it in chat. So for those of you who have chat open, you can kind of read up on it. But you know, he said that we're never going to stop pissing people off because you know the government is a religion, and if we're speaking out against them, you know, it's just going to piss people off. He also said that, you know, keep in mind that the people that are awake, we can still deliver good information to, and that, you know, we should continue to do that regardless of whether or not we're pissing people off.
Yeah.
People who are listening.
Definitely, you know, calling Obama the N-word on.
Well, that was shock value. That was already approved. I knew you were going to say it. Lucid knew you were going to say it. It was shock value. You know, it happens. People look at what these guys said. Click. You know, 1,000 people look at it and be like, well, who are these guys anyway? You know, it's shock value. No such thing as bad publicity, unfortunately. You know, there's always such a thing as an assassin waiting by your door.
When we're losing subscribers.
Well, see, and I'm thinking too, are we losing subscribers or are we
just weeding out the bad ones or the ones that can't handle, you know, I mean, if they're afraid of a little word, well, maybe you just gave them the wrong impression, you know, that, you know, you're not down for the cause, so to speak, using that word.
If you're losing subscribers, you're doing something right. That's all there is to it. I mean, if I kept every subscriber I've ever had, I couldn't even tell you where my subscribership would be. But it just tells you who's real and who's not. You know, because I do you know, all my government political news, but I also do a lot of gun and gear stuff. You know, survival stuff and that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And you can always tell I'll do like a gun video and pick up like 200 or 300 subscribers, and then I'll do a video about the police and lose 100 subscribers because those are establishment Republicans that liked my gun video.
Yeah.
But then we're like, what the fuck's this guy? What, he's against the cops?
And you can't say anything. I mean, there's too many people listening. The bigger the audience, the more people you're going to piss off every time you say anything. It's just the way it works. But again, don't even focus on the audience. If you focus on presenting valid information, you won't have to pay Facebook to advertise it for you. It'll go viral because people will want to see it. They'll share it because they see value in it.
I like it. I like the idea.
Now, that's not easy to do either. Everybody wants to present something valuable, and, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that's just so easy to do. You snap your fingers and it's done. No, but that is how it works naturally. And the other alternative is what? You know, pay Facebook or somebody else to pay one of these PR firms like all these fake events do. Pay these PR firms to create you thousands of monkey accounts on Twitter and have them sing your praises. People fall for that shit.
That's a good idea.
That is.
No, it's not a good idea. It's what they do every day to manufacture and manipulate the world mind. It's fucking sinister. It's deceptive. It's
so we just
pathetic.
need to turn our back on it. Just speak right past it.
I'm going to have to quote Master Chief Herschel Davis. The number one problem with this world is there's a whole lot of people that need to be shot, and nobody is shooting them. And we need to get busy with that.
You couldn't have said it any better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, and unfortunately we're going to find ourselves in, and again, not going into that direction too deeply, but we find ourselves in a Hitler situation. Everybody said Hitler wanted to kill the Jews, but I don't know if how many of you are well versed into the documentary Adolf Hitler, the greatest story never told. It's a very interesting sit down. It's 6 hours. It blows blows your mind quite quickly in the first 20 to 30 minutes. But for lack of a better explanation, from what I understand, at the time Germany had a 1% banking problem. So 11% of the banks were German banks, and the rest of those banks were owned by Zionists. there's a big difference between the good God-fearing Torah-reading Jewish person and a Zionist.
Yes.
So I've come to understand, it's like, wait a minute. The reason, because the unfortunate thing is that if he was just trying to kill the Jews, they would have let him get away with it. Because look at what they're doing to Israel right now. All these Muslim nations have now gathered together for all the right reasons because of what has happened to Palestine. You know, they just kind of, and this, I've always say this to people. I said, the stupid white boy that went in World War II and won it for everybody, grabbed a bunch of the quote-unquote problem, because if World War II, we won that war. Why did we have to give the Jewish Israel? We could have just given them Germany. And then people are like, well, no, the Germans would have rose up and we would have stomped them again. Like, you bad Germany, don't do that. Now you lose your country. We're giving it to the Jewish people. But no, we scooped them up. We went halfway across the world, dumped them in someone's backyard, the Islamic nation's backyard. If you pay attention to all the countries around Israel, they're all Islamic. And we're trying to figure out why they don't like Israel. Look at what they did to Palestine. It's a rather upsetting thing. So we dumped them halfway across the world because we felt bad about World War II. And so if it was just about him killing the Jews, they would have let him do it, because all these other Muslim nations are trying to destroy Israel, and World War III hasn't started yet. Well, yes, it started, but we're not looking at Hiroshima and Nagasaki situations right now, or the beaches of Normandy right now. But it's still like
World War III is the resistance.
It's no longer country versus country. It becomes us versus them, the people versus the establishment of every country. And then it's unfortunate because this is where that whole Illuminati situation comes in, where it's how's it go? Cause, reaction, solution, where they make something, they wait for the reaction, and all of that was planned because they already have a solution provided for us. So, for instance, what has happened in New York with the police just saying, nah, we're not arresting people anymore because, two of us got shot and we're just not going to do it anymore. Well, what happens when a lot of those policing academies from various parts of the United States or Canada at that point start agreeing and saying, no, we're not going to do this anymore? Crime will rise, and unfortunately, it's part of a dynamic. During this revolution, during this resistance, just like all revolutions and resistance of the past, there will be a moment where anarchy will reign. Like when this whole thing started, when it was just me and a few guys sitting at a house drinking and smoking entirely too much weed, we decided that what we should do with all of this was be the line. Don't cross it. Don't ask people to cross it with you. Be that line. So don't let the protesters get to the cops, but don't let the cops get to the protesters either.
Exactly.
So that when that line is gunned down or arrested, so you got 10 people, 20 people at a street looking at the cops saying, look, I'm going to keep these thousands of people. I'm going to keep them there as long as you stay right there. But I swear to you, if you actually hurt us, we might... You know what I mean? Like, we might not have a big problem on our hands. The 30 of us can't stop the 2,000 behind us, and if you hurt us, you might set off your own little riot, and that would become violent. Half the problem is this, and I can't advocate people of doing this, but what would have happened at the protest when the first person grabbed a cop? And when the first cop grabbed a person and began to brutalize that person at a protest, next thing you know, someone with a conceal and carry just came up and popped him behind the head and said, okay, so who wants to try that next? I unfortunately for both of our countries, because I went to when we do protests, we hire a lawyer to come and speak to us and advise us of our rights, advise us quite literally where is that line, and when we cross it, we cross at our own risks. So I asked the lawyer, I said, well, I saw in the States during the Occupy protests and the Occupy movements a lot of very brave women who decided to wear nothing but bras and panties underneath a tent. And it was a costume, and since they couldn't have the tents pitched at Zuccotti Park anymore, the girls had chosen to wear the tents. Well, that upset the police officers. I guess they didn't like the message, and they started to rip the tents off of the women, quite literally disrobing women in public. That's what the police had done.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked the lawyer, I said, in the event that something of that nature were to happen, I said, when and what is the line in which I can look at the cop and say, too far? Me and you, we're now going to have a physical altercation because of your actions. The lawyer looked at me and flat out said there is never a time in which I can do that.
Exactly.
Never.
The machine never permits the slave to respond, ever. Why would it? That would be silly.
Actually, in the United States, it is lawful to resist unlawful arrest.
Yes. In Canada, it's not. You have to go to the courts. You have to plead not guilty and do it. So that's the big thing, and that's what's happening. And I've warned the cops. I've called them, like literally. I've called police departments in both countries and be like, your officer just brutalized a young man at a protest. You do realize he has cousins, uncles, a father, and his father's got friends, and his cousins got. You know that somebody in your department is gonna get shot now. It's coming. I'm not threatening you with it. I'm not saying I'm sending somebody to do it. I'm saying that the cause and the things that I see dictates that is the next step for your society. And then boom, Justin Bork happened in my little province. Boom, New York got hit. Boom, the day after New York got hit, I think it was it California or San Francisco, got hit. It became the new knockout game for cops. Instead of running around as citizens, which I always thought was a real waste of time and effort, a bunch of citizens walking around beating each other up and videotaping it. It's a far better use of your exercise to go after the cops themselves. And that's another thing, these guys were approached shot execution style. I can't agree with that. That cop at that exact moment wasn't really doing something in which deserved such a volatile response. So I guess we find ourselves in the very beginning of the movie Hitman. When does a good man decide to kill?
Hey, well, this is going to sound kind of messed up, but killing has nothing to do with good or bad. Whether you're a good man or a bad man, it's the reason you do it.
Yep, and can people stand behind it? And that brings us to the beginning of what I was discussing earlier, is the whole using my real name and pushing forward, doing everything I've done for John Connor, doing everything that I've done for TWWRN, but putting my real name, my real corporation behind it. Because tomorrow morning somebody finds out that John Connor got assassinated, nobody's going to care. Half the people are going to think it's the plot for the new movie. But if I gave my real name and I push forward, and then they say, oh, the guy who was responsible for John Connor on Facebook and was responsible for getting the Worldwide Resistance Network up to where it was supposed to be, that's the guy that got shot. Would that bring a better would I become the next Snowden, or would you guys become the next Bradley Manning? Or because that's where it's going to go. And Islam, unfortunately, spoke a lot of this. It says because Islam and Christianity, they both have end-day stories in their books, and they're both quite similar. And the one thing that Islam says that Christianity didn't really say was that in the last days there will be murder everywhere. There'll be murder in the streets. And some people mistranslated that and said it would be murder everywhere. But that's not it. It'll be martyrdom. People will die for what they believe. And that's where we're at. There hasn't, I hate saying things like this, there hasn't been enough dead good people yet to infuriate the masses.
No, I've been saying that for a long time, that when push comes to shove and the resistance actually has to arm themselves versus what we're doing right now, that there's going to be a whole lot of people in the front line that are a whole lot of dead.
Yep.
And that will be one of the things, unfortunately, that has to happen. It has to happen that way. It can't happen any other way. It happens like that in every resistance in history.
Night of the Long Knives. That's what Hitler did. Those who opposed him in one night, the assassins went out and took them all out. And that's kind of it's another thing. Like I've always looked at these 13 families, these private bankers. There's only 13 families. So what, 250 people that run the world? So what, 500 shooters? No, 250 shooters, 250 spotters. It really can't be that hard.
Don't forget that the Jews who resisted in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, they had a higher rate of survival than those who went along.
Do we know why?
Well, yeah, because they fought. They had guerrilla war tactics. They didn't allow themselves to be invaded. Their neighborhoods, they didn't have the little spy networks embedded into their neighborhoods. They fought back. The whole community, the Warsaw Ghetto, the shitty parts of downtown, those people said, nah, we ain't got nothing left anyway. Fuck it, we might as well go out fighting. And they did, and they had a higher rate. More of them survived than the number who went along.
Man. So that's where we're at. There's this huge thing. It's all about the revolution of love and staying connected with each other, which is what tonight is about. Just reminding people, like when they see the bad press, they see what we're doing and things like that. We're not horrible people. We're people looking for all the answers as much as anybody else, and we provide the answers. Somewhere within this chat room, I'm sure the website link is available, and it's pretty plain Jane. It's 5 pages. The hour signal. If you click on the diamond on the page, it'll give us an encrypted IRC chat. So we have a few things out there that allows us to stay guerrilla. We always tell people to protect themselves, protect their anonymity. For things like this, it's very basic. We're just shooting the breeze and talking and brainstorming. Really, this is very benign. But if you're going to do certain things that is going to be against your local law or your state law or your nation's laws, you put a condom on for a reason. It's because it's the right thing to do. So do the same thing when we're doing things like this. I had a few members of Lizard Squad approach me and say, because I called them right out. I was like, it's children doing childish things, and I would.
Uh-oh. Did we lose somebody?
Did we just lose John?
He froze up.
So.
Well, I have a little bit different perspective. He froze up and dropped off. I have a little bit of different perspective on the staying anonymous, where I see the usefulness there.
Yeah.
But I don't stay anonymous. I mean, and I mean most people that watch my channel probably even know where I live. Much less my full name, the fact that I got a couple kids and all that other stuff. And some of them even know my kid's name. But and I do that for a specific reason. I do that because if something, by the off chance, something does happen to me, I'm just not that guy. That guy in the video. That dude with the beard in the video and the tattoos.
Right.
They got on the street.
Staying anonymous is great, but if something happens to you, guess what? You're still anonymous. Nobody knows.
Well, exactly. I'm just going to excuse myself for a moment. I got to go to the bathroom, and although I have a tablet, I'm sure that's not where you want me to bring you guys.
Yeah.
So enjoy each other's company, bounce some stuff back. I'm sure the boys will be back in. Technical difficulties. Skynet hates us. So
have you guys thought that maybe the World War III we're in it right now, except that we are the resistance? That is what